Lieutenant Marcus Chen had survived 3 tours across the Andromeda sector, faced down Krellian war beasts, and negotiated peace treaties with 6 different alien species. But nothing in his distinguished military career had prepared him for the moment when his neural implant malfunctioned aboard the GSS Endeavour. The implant was standard issue for all human soldiers, operating in deep space, a sophisticated piece of technology that allowed instantaneous translation of alien languages and facilitated telepathic communication with compatible species. Marcus had worn his for 5 years without incident. Until today. Commander Zixara of the Velothian Empire stood before him in the observation deck, her crystalline exoskeleton catching the light of a nearby nebula. The Velothians were humanity's newest allies, insectoid beings whose chitinous bodies moved with an alien grace that humans found both fascinating and unsettling. Zixara was considered beautiful by her species standards. Her thorax segments were perfectly proportioned. Her wing casings gleamed with iridescent purple hues, and her posterior carapace curved in what Velothian culture deemed the ideal aesthetic form. Marcus had been thinking, privately he'd believed, about how the translator always struggled with the Velothian concept of physical beauty. How humans would never naturally appreciate the elegance of her exoskeleton's rear segments, though he'd learned enough about Velothian culture to recognize their significance. He was pondering the fascinating differences between species, the way beauty itself was so utterly subjective and, "Your thoughts are most flattering, Lieutenant Chen." Marcus froze. His blood ran cold. The neural implant's status light was blinking red, a malfunction indicator he'd never seen before, and he realized with mounting horror that his internal monologue about Zixara's posterior thorax segments had just been broadcast telepathically across every compatible neural network in range, including Zixara's. Commander, I sincerely apologize. My implant malfunctioned. I didn't mean to, but Zixara's mandibles were clicking in a rapid pattern. It took Marcus's failing translator a moment to catch up, but when it did, he realized she was laughing. Not the polite diplomatic chuckle of an offended superior officer, but genuine thoracic vibrating laughter. Lieutenant Chen, do you have any idea how long it has been since someone has appreciated Velothian aesthetic form? Her compound eyes seemed to sparkle with amusement. Your species looks at us and sees insects, bugs, things to be feared or exterminated. But you... She moved closer, her antennae twitching with what Marcus had learned was curiosity. You took the time to learn our standards of beauty, to understand what we consider attractive. Marcus's face burned with embarrassment. With respect, Commander, I was thinking about cultural differences. Not you were thinking, Zixara interrupted, her tone shifting to something more serious, that my posterior carapace demonstrates the ideal proportions by Velothian standards. You were correct. It is considered exceptional among my people. She tilted her head in a very human-like gesture of curiosity. Tell me, Lieutenant, how many of your fellow humans have bothered to learn such things? Marcus opened his mouth, then closed it. The truth was uncomfortable. Not many, ma'am. Exactly. Zixara moved to the viewport, her reflection ghostly against the stars. Do you know why I requested a human liaison officer, Lieutenant? I assumed it was standard protocol for the Alliance. I requested one because I wanted to understand if humans were capable of seeing beyond their own biological prejudices. She turned back to him, her posture radiating intensity. The Velothian Empire has observed humanity for decades. We've watched you overcome your own tribal divisions, move past racism within your own species, and reach for the stars. But the question remained, could humans extend that same growth to species that don't remotely resemble you? Marcus's embarrassment was slowly being replaced by a dawning understanding. This was a test, not consciously, but your malfunction has provided more valuable data than 100 diplomatic meetings. Zixara's mandibles clicked again, softer this time. Most species in the Galactic Assembly maintain strict biological boundaries. They cooperate, trade, even fight alongside each other. But true cultural appreciation? Understanding beauty standards, emotional expressions, aesthetic values of beings that look nothing like themselves? That is exceedingly rare. She approached him again, and Marcus held his ground despite every instinct screaming at him about the massive alien predator in his personal space. Your accidental broadcast was received by 17 Velothian crew members aboard this ship. Do you know what they said? Marcus shook his head mutely. They said perhaps the humans are worth the alliance after all. Not because of your military might or technological prowess, but because one of you took the time to see us as beautiful, to understand us as people, not just allies of convenience. The neural implant gave a final sputter and died completely. Marcus would need to visit medical before it could be repaired. But as he stood there in the observation deck with Commander Zixara, watching her antennae wave in what he now recognized as contentment, he realized something profound. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their adaptability in combat or their relentless scientific innovation. It was their capacity for empathy, their ability to find common ground with beings that shared no common biology whatsoever, to appreciate beauty in forms that evolution had never prepared them to recognize. "Commander," Marcus said carefully, "for what it's worth, I meant every thought. Your posterior carapace segments really are aesthetically exceptional by any standard." Zixara's laughter echoed through the observation deck once more, a chittering sound that would have terrified Marcus 5 years ago, but now seemed almost musical. "Lieutenant Chen, I believe this is the beginning of a very interesting interspecies friendship. And perhaps," her tone turned thoughtful, "the beginning of something much larger for our two peoples." As Marcus left to get his implant repaired, he couldn't help but smile. He'd accidentally broadcast his appreciation for an alien's rear end, and somehow strengthened an interstellar alliance in the process. Only humans, he thought, could turn a technological malfunction and complete social embarrassment into a diplomatic victory. The Galactic Assembly was going to be very interesting indeed.